The challenges that farmers face, and the government in general, is basically that we do not have structured markets for agricultural commodities. To the extent that many of our farmers actually produce without knowing which market, specific market, they are going to sell their produce. To the extent that we have a lot of glut in the market, at harvest in particular, and therefore prices plummet. And when prices plummet, farmers have no option but to sell at the going price, and if they don't make, they are not able to be adequately remunerated, it affects future production.
The other problem is that by the time they're harvesting, they lack finances, so they're desperate to sell to get finances. As it is, I think only 4% of bank credit goes to the agriculture sector. So the farmers are squeezed and they cannot get access to financing from financial institutions, and that adds to their problems.
There is the issue of losses that accrue from the harvests that we get, and we call them post-harvest losses. And post-harvest losses in Kenya are a very significant proportion of what we produce. Actually, the statistics indicate that on average, we lose up to 35% of what we produce. If you consider the maize subsector alone, which is this major contributor of our staple food, if you talk about 45 million bags per annum as our production, then 10% only is 4.5 million bags. And you can see how significant this is. Sometimes that is equivalent to actually what we sometimes need to import into the country.
These, among others, including inefficient value chains, exploitation by brokers and traders, led the government to think of putting up the Warehouse Receipt System Council, which will oversee the establishment and operationalization of the warehouse receipt system.
When you read about warehouse receipt systems all over the world, you'll find that the one thing that must be in place is that regulatory framework. So far, we have supported the government and the law exists. This took over 8 years to be made, like many laws. However, AGRA was able to, through study tours, through the various existing grain bulk handlers, study tours to South Africa, where already there is a system that's operational. The members of parliament were able to see in practice how it works. And when indeed they came back, the law was enacted.
The warehouse receipt system is a process where owners of commodities, and these can be producers, the farmers themselves, they can be aggregators or community-based organizations or other self-help groups or even traders, bring their commodities to a warehouse that is certified by the council and licensed by the counties. Once they deliver their produce there, the produce will be tested to make sure that it is of quality. It is cleaned, it is weighed, it is graded, and then it is stored. And then the farmer or the depositor gets a receipt. So far, we have certified 5 warehouses belonging to NCPB in Nakuru, Eldoret, Trans Nzoia, Meru, and Nairobi. And currently, we are evaluating another 6 from cooperative societies in various parts of the country.
What a warehouse receipt system does is that the produce that the farmer has, whether this is a small-scale farmer or a female-headed household which may not have access to other sources of collateral, is that the warehouse receipt system collateralizes the warehouse receipt, so that the warehouse receipt now as a document of title can be used to access credit. So the produce remains his, waiting for favorable prices, as they get access to money, they have essentially collateralized the produce, something which cannot happen if the produce was in their own house, because there is no guarantee that it will be kept safely. But now it is being kept by a third party. That is the first benefit. They can get access to credit. Secondly, it now empowers him to make decisions as to when to sell. Okay? Because now they have the option. They don't sell in distress, so to speak, at harvest when prices are low, because if they needed money, they can get access to credit as they wait for favorable prices.
To us as AGRA, we feel that the warehouse receipt system is a tool that will empower the smallholder farmer, and to cut it even closer, empower the women and the youth. We have seen in information that is provided, women till the land, and therefore to make it attractive and to make it supportive for the women and the youth, we see this as a tool that will enable them, once they get their produce, we will ask them to work in groups, women or youth groups, aggregate their produce and present that to the warehouse operators. They obtain the receipt, and the receipt is a collateral for them to be able to access finance.
The warehouses, when they are linked to a commodity exchange, which we are also working on together with the Ministry of Trade and Treasury, then prices can easily be competitively discovered, because what a commodity exchange does is to match buyers and prices, and buyers and sellers, and the receipts which are owned by buyers, or which are owned by depositors, will be taken to the exchange if they wish to sell, so that those who wish to buy can offer and bid for those, and then the prices are competitively discovered.
The warehouse receipt system especially is good for the smallholder farmers because they can aggregate. They can form into community-based organizations or cooperatives, aggregate, and that gives them bargaining power. Their stores, the stores that they have can actually be attached to certified warehouses so that they support their collection points. And that means that the transport of picking the agriculture commodity and dropping the agriculture input can be streamlined, can be well organized. They can be supported to dry their produce. A lot of the smallholder farmers lack technology and skills to dry their produce. That can help them. And because of aggregation, they could also move into manufacturing.
It is our belief that if this system is implemented as it is intended, and every stakeholder is carried along through proper sensitization, through allowing them to play their part, with government supporting and creating that enabling environment, then it is going to create a major shift in the way that we do business in farming and also in trading of agricultural commodities.